2023 is slowly coming to an end, and boy did we farming games lovers eat good. It's definitely been the year that kept on giving. And so I wanted to rank all the farming games that I played so I can reflect back on them, but it's also a chance to give you a mini review of each, which might help you decide which game to play next. Hello you gorgeous human being, it's Miss Bubbles. If you're new here and you love farming games, consider squishing the like button and subscribing because I have plenty of fun farming game videos coming up soon. Now let's set some rules for this tier list so you can kind of understand why and how everything has been ranked in this one. So 1, this video will be divided into A tier, which are games that I highly recommend you check out, B tier, which are ones that I enjoyed but not too long, like they failed to hook me, and then D tier are the games that I really wish I did not play or I regretted buying, and then S tier, which are hands down 100% must buy games in my opinion. There's also gonna be 2 honorable mentions on this list that will not get a ranking per se, but they're still worth checking out, and that's because I did not get the chance to play them enough. And then rule number 2 is that all of these games were released in 2023 except for 2 early access ones which got major updates in 2023. And rule number 3 is remember, if I do not like a game that you love, or if I do love a game that you hate, it's not an attack on you. I hate that I have to say this every single time, but just some people don't understand that. If you're gonna be throwing a fuss in the comment section, I'm gonna have to just cut you out of the channel. So please keep it civil and take the advantage to actually share your favorite and least favorite games of 2023 so we can have a conversation in the comment section. Now without further ado, let's start with our A tier list games, and the first thing that came to my mind is Dinkum. And to be fair, even though this game is an early access, it has managed to hook me in a way that a lot of actually finished games couldn't even do. The setting of the Australian outbacks is a chef's kiss in my opinion, and already helped set it apart from many others. Add to that the amount of activities you can enjoy is a breath of fresh air. While it does get inspiration from games like Animal Crossing, it still does its own thing that sets it apart from it. Here you are on this island and you're slowly trying to populate it with villagers, and so as you do so, you gather resources, you craft materials, decorate the island to your heart's content, all while also dealing with the dangerous wildlife. You can fish, you can farm, mine, raise barn animals, and play with your friends, but the best part is that you play at your own pace. This is your own little world that you get to enjoy and slowly uncover as you get stronger and manage to get more stamina so you can actually explore further. The added milestones give you something to work towards every time, and they add that extra challenge which was fun to tackle day to day. The graphics are absolutely stunning, and this one would have easily been an S tier game if it was actually finished, but because it's still in the works, I felt like it's a little bit unfair to place it in the S tier, which includes games that are already fully released. Now before we get to the next game on this tier list, let's hear from our sponsors Red Deer Games, who are publishing and developing a very cute and cozy game called Uzuzu My Pet Golf Dash. This is such an adorable golf game, and I never thought I would say that a golf game is actually adorable, but this one will let you enjoy over 70 golf courses with traps and various scenarios to challenge you. So each golf course is gonna keep you on your toes. You're gonna have to run away from things like an enormous basketball trying to hit you, or even defend your friends from the different golf balls, including a freaking hot dog. You can choose to play as one of 4 different characters, from a cute little puppy to an elegant cat, a golden retriever, and even a Persian feline, and play with a variety of unusual objects. Everything in this game is just set up to challenge you and give you a good laugh, and we all know that we actually need a good laugh, especially with everything that has been happening in 2023. Like imagine this, the ball can be a fish, which will naturally make it act like a fish when you hit it, or it can be a pizza or an egg or even a sausage, so the sky's the limit here. I love games that just don't take themselves too seriously. They're usually perfect to play in between other more story heavy titles, and I feel like Uzuzu My Pet Golf Dash is perfect for that. It's out on Nintendo Switch right now, so you can pick it up and try it for yourself. Thank you so much to Red Deer Games for sponsoring this video. Now the next game on our tier list is probably one that you didn't expect to have because it is one of my favorite franchises of all time, but it's also a DLC, and I'm talking about Sims 4 Cottage Living. This one just had to make the cut. This expansion pack adds animals like cows, llamas, and chickens, so you can expand the resources you gather, which in turn can be used to either sell or cook. This adds a new way of storytelling and playing The Sims 4, and it's perfect for those of you who love farming games. The added friendship that you can have with these barn animals adds to the fun, so taking care of them is something that matters, unlike modern farming games where they use barn animals as an afterthought rather than something that actually needs taking care of. The Sims team also added foxes, and while you can approach them, different interactions can have different results, some of which might not be so pleasant. And if you love farming, the gardening skill gets that extra oomph because now you can grow even more produce, and you can also visit the village market or enter competitions to show off your crops. And this all adds, again, an extra layer to the story you're trying to tell in The Sims 4. Also, can we talk about the added world? It looks like the perfect place to start a rags to riches playthrough. The only reason why it did not make it to the S tier is because I feel like £35 is a little bit too high for this game, so I would recommend you get it on a sale instead. And another early access made it to this tier list, which actually surprised me because if you've watched my previous ranking videos, I don't like to put an early access game to compete with other finished games. But this one has added so many new updates that it just feels worth being in this list. And I'm talking about Traveler's Rest. While it did release back in 2020, it has seen amazing updates that just keep on giving us more content to enjoy. I love the idea of being an innkeeper. I generally love management games. And the main premise is that you're trying to make the most out of the resources that you have to make the space more fun for more people to come in and have a good time. As you start to brew beer, you then look after your farm because you need ingredients like wheat and hops. Then in a recent update, we got barn animals to raise, which also opened up new shops, NPCs, and of course ranch animals that will give you valuable resources to cook with and serve to your customers. I like the fact that we have so many new gameplay features to enjoy, and every couple of months we keep getting more and more content adding in. This, just like the income, would definitely deserve to be on the S tier, but again, because it is unfinished, I think that it's unfair to put it there just yet. Now moving to the B tier list games, these are not bad by any chance. They're just ones that I had a good time with but then struggled to get hooked on for as long as I would have loved to. Or they pretty much had a few nitpicks that I wish they could have been fixed. And the first one is going to be FAVE. I saw so much hate going on for this game, and I feel like there really has been no basis for that hate other than the price tag, which is one of the reasons why I did actually drop it to the B tier list. And then also the bland characters, which kind of bothered me, and it made this magical world look dull at times where it could have felt a lot more lively. And that's pretty much the only two factors of why I dropped FAVE from an A tier game, or let's say an S tier game, down to a B tier list game. FAVE is so fun to play, and it definitely caught me off guard. This one is such a gem for completionists because there's just so many things that you can find and create. I also love how many activities we can enjoy, from farming to catching bugs, fishing, which is terrible in this game, mining, which is actually fun, and combat, which is pretty repetitive for the most part. But the overall fuzzy feeling, and it just makes you feel like a kid again every time you boot it up. The game looks stunning, the creatures are so cute, and the animations are so well done. Even the enemies that you fight in the mines look so freaking good. So overall, to me, this one feels like such a beautiful adventure to enjoy, but I would recommend that you wait for a sale first. Dragonoka is also making it to the B tier list, and I bet a lot of you have never heard about this game. We played it on stream back in January when it first released, and I was very intrigued by how charming it is. I love the sheer amount of jobs that you can take on, from farming to fishing, cooking, sewing, blacksmithing, and more, and there are various systems and subsystems to enjoy, and it feels different enough from other games in this genre that we can all pretty much agree that they're all becoming a copy and paste clones of each other. You can also create your village and customize and decorate it to your own liking. And did I mention dragons? You're actually fighting different elemental dragons, which is pretty cool if you ask me. However, the menu system was way too clunky, and when you have to rely on using it as much as you have to in this game, it definitely breaks your immersion. Plus, the grind in this one was not as fun for me as, let's say, the grind in my time at Sandrock or Coral Island are. It's still worth checking out in my opinion, but I would just say taper your expectations expectations before you go in. Now, the next one is a little bit different from your typical or more traditional farming games, and if you've been around this channel for a while, you will see that I usually prefer games that try to do more rather than just be like, oh, this is strictly a farming games. I like hybrids, and No Place Like Home does just that. This one sends you to a trash-ridden Earth where everyone decided to leave to Mars, and here you are trying to find your grandpa. You need to clean up so much trash, but that is just so satisfying to do. It's kind of like games like, let's say, House Flipper, where it's just satisfying to get rid of all that dirt. You can plant and harvest crops, you can craft better gear to make your exploration easier, you can rebuild the village, customize your house, and help the townsfolk. I cannot explain how fun the gameplay loop is. There's always something new for you to do, like a new quest or a new craftable that you're trying to work for, and I value how the devs tried something new. However, the reason why I dropped it to a B tier is due to how unpolished it can feel at times. Combat is so clunky and tedious, and that's because the controls overall are just not so good. They feel unresponsive, they feel very slow, and I was struggling to play more and more the more in depth I get into the game. So for me, it's still worth a buy, but maybe on sale or while knowing that this might hinder your experience. Next up, we have Coney Island. This is a hybrid between an RPG and a farming game. I love how this one lets you customize the island to your heart's content. This is an open world, and pretty much the sky's the limit here. You can farm, you can gather resources, you can craft, befriend wild creatures, and fight your way against pirates who are trying to sabotage you and take the island for themselves. The gameplay loop encourages you to get stronger, and the open world invites you to venture out and explore. The game's aesthetic is very pleasing and charming, but despite all that, it just feels, again, clunky, where the controls can be immersion breaking, and when I played, you actually cannot use the pause. Like, it's very interesting of an approach that the devs chose. I mean, I get it, in a multiplayer game you shouldn't maybe be able to pause, but when you're playing solo, why can't I pause? It makes no sense. So to me, this is just such a basic feature that I can't do, and I'm just like, why? I also experienced bugs that had me quitting the game because nothing else would solve them, and for that, it just had to be a B tier list game. I would check it out, but maybe pause until we actually have a pause in this game, no pun intended. Moving to the D tier list games, these are ones that as much as I tried to love them, I just couldn't for the life of me. And I know a lot of you are gonna be yelling at me, especially when we go with the first one, which is Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. Oh boy, that game, I don't like it. You cannot imagine how disappointed I was by this one. I've talked about my experience many times, including in an in-depth before you buy. You know, I walked into this one expecting a beautiful journey with amazing characters to meet. I don't always engage with NPCs in farming games, so I was like, you know what? This might be the game where I finally will like everyone, because I was told by other people who played the original that NPCs are not like cabbages, and the community, or the sense of community, is actually worthwhile. Well, man oh man, was the gameplay super boring and repetitive that, you know what? I started to hate picking up my Switch because I felt like, ugh, it's another day, more chores. I just need to put in more hours playing this game, so it's not good when you start hating a console or like a handheld because of the game. And then the community did feel like a cabbage. The townsfolk were meh at best, and I just couldn't get into the gameplay loop for the life of me. From repetitive dialogue to tedious gameplay, including the mine, that one is so bland. I really tried to like this one, but I had to stop, and I never looked back. Yes, I know a lot of you, again, who played the original love it. I freaking hated that game. I can't, no, it's not for me. You're not gonna convince me otherwise. We've had this conversation, like people just bring in pitchforks when I talk about this game, but I really think that you need to understand that, you know what Mr. Matty Place said the other day, just like the way you can't tell me how my food tastes like and what kind of food I'm supposed to enjoy, you can't tell me that A Wonderful Life is actually good for me, okay? It's not. Next up is Paleopines, and I'm so conflicted about putting it here because I wanted it to be in the B tier list, but then I also couldn't get hooked on it. And the more that I played it, even after my before you buy, the more I just didn't like the game, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm done, I don't want to play this. Yes, the idea of having dinosaurs on your ranch and like decorating your ranch and all of that is fun, but this this one just fails to do a lot of things. Like, again, collecting different types and variations of dinosaurs is adorable, and to be fair, the animations are the cutest that I've seen in a really long time, but Paleopines just struggles to do much more than that. In my before you buy videos, I always do my best to have a positive outlook, and at the end of them, even if I adore a game, I will find reasons why you wouldn't, and if I hate a game, I will find reasons why you would. This for me helps me keep the review or the before you buy as unbiased as it could possibly be, but this one, it just lost my attention and I didn't want to play more. The open world felt so lifeless and unnecessary, except for the few times where you see dinosaurs roaming around, and the gameplay loop failed to interest me, and for that, it just wasn't for me at all. The next one making this list is Pretty Princess Magical Garden Island, which is one that I didn't really know much about. I saw the trailers and I was like, okay, this can go either way. When I started playing it at first, it was actually fun, but then about 5+ hours into it, I was like, yeah, not really. And the repetitiveness of the gameplay loop kicked in so fast. Yes, there are tons of customization options in this one, from buying dresses to decorations, as well as setting up various machines to help you out, but the more that I played it, the more I felt like this probably would have been better being a mobile game, and £30 for this one is definitely not it. And the last one here, which hurts me to say because I know a lot of people love it, is Fruits of Pacha. And let me start by saying this is not a bad game at all. It's again one that just, it wasn't for me. In my before you buy, I had so much praise for it in terms of the devs' innovation, and the Stone Age setting was perfect to break the repetitiveness of what other game settings do of, oh, we got tired from the city life, let's go to a farm, or ooh, let's move to an island. Like, it's nice to have a new setting and let it be creative. I just couldn't connect with the characters for the life of me, even though I did appreciate the tribe mechanics where you need to contribute to progress in terms of items that you use and unlocking new gameplay features, but around 10 hours of gameplay, I was struggling. I did not enjoy the game at all. I really tried and I was just like, yeah, I can't do it anymore. So for me, it was just not worth my time. Once the novelty wore off, I never felt like trying it again. You'll see with my S tier games, these are actually ones that got me obsessed. These are ones that make me love gaming rather than hate gaming. And when a game like Story of Seasons or Roots of Pacha or Paleopines feel like a chore to play, I'm just like, life is too short, I'm not gonna do that. So before we get to our S tier games, we're gonna have 2 honorable mentions and our shout out for the day. The 2 honorable mentions are going to Wildmender and Cornucopia. As much as I would love to rank them, I haven't played them enough. Cornucopia has been enjoyable to try the different gameplay mechanics, and I love its art style. It feels like a farming Paper Mario kind of game, and it's definitely innovative in a lot of ways. I definitely recommend that you check out some reviews and gameplay because it might be a hidden gem that a lot of us have missed out in 2023. As for Wildmender, I feel like it's been really fun to see the farming and survival genres coming together, and it's been really fun so far. You're trying to restore the land and bring water back to it, and from what I've experienced, the visuals are stunning, the music is charming, and the combat hasn't been too difficult just yet. Now let's give our shout out of the day to Medusa, who commented on my cozy games you can play in December, and they said, I really enjoyed playing Disney Dreamlight Valley in early access and can't wait to play again after the full release. I totally agree, I'm gonna be doing the same. Lorna looks very cute and relaxing. Also, I decided to try the lychee flavored soda I bought while watching this, and it's pretty good. Made the video feel more cozy to drink it while I watch. I love it. I love like when you guys tell me that you had a beverage or like you cozied up and were watching the video. That is like the best compliment you can give to a YouTuber. Now, if you want to get a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is leave a comment down below. Back to our list, and let's talk about the S tier games that have been living rent-free in my life like it's nobody's business. And the first one is one that I haven't talked about in quite some time, and that is Sunhaven. This one got its full release earlier this year, and oof, does this game still hold a special place in my heart. It's so addictive and will hook you for hours with all the content that it has to offer. The art style is gorgeous, the story is fun, the worlds, yes, worlds with an S, are massive, and the amount of things you do is purely mind-blowing. There is so much to craft, much more to collect, and it overall improves on the Stardew Valley formula by giving us a lot of quality of life features which make the gameplay just feel much more smoother and better. The fantasy fantasy aspect of it gives it that magical touch, as you're gonna be meeting dragons, elves, demons, angels, and more, and the lack of stamina, that opens up so much freedom to do whatever you want without worrying about anything all the time. Plus, the skills and abilities are so fun to obtain. This one has always been in a lot of my best farming games ever to play. It is a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend that you check it out. And the next S tier game is My Time at Sandrock. My Time at Portia made it to my 10 out of 10 farming games video, and when I made that video, if you remember, I said I am not gonna be surprised if Sandrock replaces it, and it sure did. First, the desert setting is such a nice breath of fresh air where you have to worry about things like water and sandstorms. Then we move to all the extra things you can do, which makes me wonder if this is a farming game. It's more of a hybrid. It's an RPG with farming games, and again, these are the games that I love because they make a lot of things happen at the same time. So while you do farm, this one adds so much more, from diving deep in the ruins to retrieving artifacts, going on freaking dates, playing mini games, fishing, crafting, building massive blueprints, and having an in-depth story. There's like freaking gangs in there and stuff. Like, it's actually really interesting, and this one is one that just keeps on giving. My Time at Sandrock improved the flaws of Portia, and it's just every time I sit, it's like, again, just like Portia back in the day that I shared the story where my sister would walk in and she's like, "We're playing Portia again." Now, like, if she was here with me in the UK, she'd be like, "You're playing Sandrock again?" Highly recommend you play it. And I wanted to save the best for last, because if you watched my last before you buy video, you saw me just gushing about Coral Island. This one is occupying my life right now. It's in my head 24/7. It's all I think about. I play it on the Steam Deck, I play it on PC, I play it wherever I can, whenever I can, and I'm so happy that I waited until full release to dive in. And yes, I hear you. Many of you said like, "Oh, the game is incomplete because of the 2024 roadmap," and I get it. Yes, there are some features that are gonna come soon, but regardless, I still believe this game has so much to offer. This is easily 40 to 50 hours of content, of story, of new gameplay mechanics and features that you're playing, and I think it's freaking awesome. Games like Roots of Pacha, Paleo Pines, Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, these came together, and I was starting to question if I like the farming genre anymore. I literally thought like, you know what, I'm done. But then games like My Time at Sandrock, Coral Island, Sunhaven, these assure me that no, I actually love this genre. I just don't like how some of them just fail to hook me. Coral Island is absolutely stunning. The diving in it is so fun. The characters are beautiful, and I'm so confused. I don't know, like 25 freaking bachelors and bachelorettes. Come on now, I don't know who to choose from. But even the music, the mines, the shops, everything is just absolutely gorgeous. I do go into more details if you want to learn about it in my before you buy, but this one, please, if you haven't checked it out, definitely do, because it is worth your time. What was your favorite and least favorite farming games of 2023? Again, thank you so much for our sponsors, Red Deer Games, for sponsoring this video. And if you want to know what my 10 out of 10 farming games of all time are, check out this video next. Thank you to my YouTube and Patreon bubblies who make these videos possible. Thank you for watching, and a shout out goes to the amazing Karu, the Game Dimension, Jacob, Stephanie, Steven, Dark One, and Jake Logan for going the extra mile. Y'all are freaking awesome. Until next time, stay bubbly.